Hello everyone, it's Clayton, and I just saw the remake of Blair Witch. Now, for those who don't know what the original Blair Witch is, I'll give you the skinny. Basically, in 1999, there was this found footage film called The Blair Witch Project, which was about three college students, one of whom was named Heather, who went into the woods of Burkittsville, Maryland, in order to make a documentary about this mythical being called the Blair Witch. Now, when it comes to the response to the film, it was either lauded for being a whole new take on the horror genre, and others call it just a cash grab film that was made in an incredibly low budget that has every annoying horror cliche known to man, including shaky camera shots of everything. Whatever your response is, it was a massive hit when it came out. So much so that they made a sequel about a year later called Book of Shadows Blair Witch 2, but I don't want to talk about that one. That one's like a horrible 1 out of 10 film. This is the Blair Witch remake. So this film takes place 20 years after the original film in the year 2014, where Heather Donahue's younger brother James decides to head to Burkittsville, Maryland to find his sister, along with his girlfriend Lisa, who's filming the project for film project for a college class. They also take their friends Peter and Ashley, and they also join up with two locals of Burkittsville, Maryland. So the six of them go into the woods, try to find Heather, and they find more than what they bargained for. And that's all I can say without spoiling anything. Now here's the thing. The original Blair Witch Project isn't really a film that I personally like. I more admire it for what it did for the found footage genre rather than what it is for a movie itself, as I found the movie to be mostly filled with annoying shaky camera work, annoying arguments, and characters yelling each other's names. And all of that is in spades here. Now, you could sort of excuse the first film for its very low budget, its actors who were just basically people playing fictionalized versions of themselves, and the fact that this whole found footage film had a great viral campaign, where people actually thought the original Blair Witch was real, and it caused some people to try and find these college kids. Now that this film is coming out 17 years after the original, and we know it's fake, the film overall just doesn't have the punch that the original one had. As such, the cliches are far more egregious and far more annoying. The arguments come across as very juvenile, none of the characters are really likable, all of them are one-dimensional, and the actual scares of the movie are mostly just jump scares. You know those jump scares where a character is walking around, there's silence, and then there's this scratch in the music, and then suddenly, oh, it's just another character saying hello. Well, that happens about every 10 minutes in this movie, and it gets old very, very fast. In fact, the majority of the film is pretty repetitive. I can even give you the basic pattern that this film gives you. Character gets injured, argument, jump scare. Character gets injured, argument, jump scare. Character gets injured, argument, jump scare. It's like that through the entire film, and it also gets old pretty fast. The only time where the film really starts to get interesting is near the ending, and without spoiling anything, the ending at first seems rather interesting. But as you go further into it, you realize it's just a rehash of the first film's ending, where the first film's ending was actually pretty gripping and pretty memorable. This one comes across as a lazy attempt to try and relive the glory days with, surprisingly, none of the glory. But that's not to say that there aren't some good things in this film, though they don't outweigh the negatives by any means. I think the actors who played most of the characters did okay, and the actor who played James, Heather Donahue's brother, in particular was good. Also, I liked the new high-definition cameras, which makes me think that the Donahue family in this universe is more well-off than I thought. And I did like learning a few bits and pieces about the Blair Witch herself. Now, granted, I do like it more when I don't know that much about the Blair Witch and when I don't see her. Like, it's best if it's all left up to the viewer's interpretation, because when it comes to my imagination about what the Blair Witch looks like, that scares me. When I saw the Blair Witch for real in this film, although it's just a few glimpses, it was really underwhelming, to say the least. So yeah, I was rather disappointed with this film, despite the fact that obviously a lot of work went into it. There are a few effective scares near the end, and it does have a couple of new twists on the genre, but it isn't enough to save a story that's basically just a huge rehash of the original with almost nothing original that's plot related. Because of this, it ends up being one of the most pointless, underwhelming, and just downright unnecessary sequels in horror history. At least in my eyes. And trust me, that's saying quite a big deal. It's not a huge garbage fire that has nothing to do with the original in the same way that Book of Shadows Blair Witch 2 was. But if you actually want to be scared by a found footage film, I say just watch the Paranormal Activity films or even the original Blair Witch Project. You'll get a lot more scares out of that than this remake slash sequel. That's why I give the Blair Witch movie, this new one, a 4 out of 10. Skip it. See you next time.